Ladies and gentlemen, who will never feel ready. That perfect burst of energy you're waiting for, that spark, that magical alignment of mood, time, and purpose, it's not coming. And if it does, it will vanish before you can use it. The truth no one tells you is that greatness begins not with excitement, but with resistance. You won't want to do it. You will want to quit. And that's the test. Right there. That very moment when everything in you says not today, that is the exact moment you must say yes today. Because if you only move when it's easy, you'll never move far. You must force yourself, not because you're a machine, but because your potential is hidden behind a wall, and that wall is your comfort. Stop asking if you're in the mood. Mood is a luxury. Discipline is survival. If you want the life you keep picturing, if you want the freedom, the respect, the peace, then you need to start doing the things that your weaker self wants to avoid. There is no magic in starting later. There is no secret in waiting. The clock doesn't pause for your overthinking. Force yourself, not once, but every day. And the bed is warm and the goals are distant, force yourself. When the voices say you're not good enough, force yourself. When you've failed 10 times and doubt screams louder than hope, force yourself. Because on the other side of that force is pride, power, peace. Not from achieving the result, but from knowing you showed up anyway, even when no one clapped, even when no one saw, even when every bone in your body begged you to stop. You kept going. And that is how you build an unstoppable version of yourself. Not the version that waits, not the one that complains, but the one that rises again and again and forces it to be done. Your future's not waiting for you. It's being shaped by every choice you make now. Force yourself to build it, or watch someone else live the life you were too afraid to begin. Discipline over desire. This is not just a phrase. It is a dividing line between those who dream it makes you feel something, and that what you want lies there. Discipline, on the other hand, is the contrary. And it asks you to take control of your life, not when it's convenient, but precisely when it's uncomfortable. People chase motivation because they don't want to confront the truth. They want to feel inspired before they act. They want the feeling to carry them. But feelings are weather. They shift, fade, and betray you when you need them most. Discipline doesn't care about the weather. It doesn't need sunshine. It works in the dark. It works when you're angry, when you're bored, when you're lost. Discipline says, get up and do it anyway. Most people wait for the moment to feel right. They sit around thinking, when I feel ready, I'll start. But those moments are rare and short-lived. Discipline builds a path from where you are to where you want to be. One step at a time, with no permission, no applause, and no guarantees. It doesn't ask you to believe in yourself. It only asks that you begin. And beginning is where desire dies and discipline is born. You will not always be excited. You will not always feel driven. You will not always believe you're capable. And yet the work remains. The task sits in front of you, uncaring of how you feel. If you want results, if you want transformation, you must let go of this dependence on emotional readiness. Waiting to feel good before doing what must be done is a slow form of self-sabotage. Discipline is the higher mind taking control over the lower one. It's your deeper purpose steering the ship when your impulses want to crash it into the shore of laziness and fear. You think you're tired, you're not. You're untrained. You think you're stuck, you're not. You're undisciplined. These are not character flaws, they are states. And they can be changed. But they won't be changed through desire. It will only shift through effort. Desire whispers, maybe later. Discipline commands, now. Desire gives you excuses. Discipline gives you outcomes. Desire dreams, discipline delivers. Which one do you want to build your life on? The fleeting emotion of inspiration or the solid structure of consistency? One will leave you chasing highs that fade like mist. The other will carry you across mountains. Discipline is not punishment. It's liberation. It frees you from the mood swings of the moment. It gives you stability, direction, and inner peace. Because when you know you can rely on yourself to show up no matter what, you no longer need to hope for good days. You make your days good by how you act. Even the smallest action taken in discipline is worth more than the grandest dream born of desire. You don't have to feel like doing the work, you just have to do it. And the more you do it, the more your mind adapts. What once felt impossible begins to feel familiar. What once felt like effort becomes habit. That's the magic of discipline. It transforms your identity. The man who relies on desire will always be at the mercy of chaos. He'll start and stop, build and break, hope and despair. But the man of discipline, he's dangerous. He builds when no one watches. He grows when no one believes. He completes what he begins. Because he's not powered by feeling, he's powered by will. Discipline over desire. Not because it's easy, but because it's the only way to become who you are truly meant to be. You won't always feel like it, and that's the truth most people avoid. They wait for the perfect alignment of emotion, energy, and clarity before they act. But what if that moment never comes? What if your feelings never catch up with your goals? If you're always waiting to feel like it, you'll spend your life in pause, watching others pass you by, people who acted not because they felt ready, but because they chose to move regardless of how they felt. Your emotions are not the authority on what must be done. They're temporary visitors. One day you wake up motivated, the next you feel lost or lazy. And if you build your life around that fluctuation, your progress will always be held hostage by how you feel. That's not stability, that's chaos. The truth is, consistency is born in discomfort. The most powerful transformations happen not when you feel like it, but when you don't feel like it, and you show up anyway. The man who only works when he's motivated will never outlast the man who works because it's required. That man who moves regardless of emotional resistance, he becomes unstoppable. He understands a vital principle. Your emotions are not your compass. They are your weather. And the weather changes, sometimes dramatically, sometimes without warning. You can't let a storm decide your destination. If the wind blows against you, you adjust your sails, but you don't abandon the journey. You may feel tired. You may feel uninspired. You may feel overwhelmed. But the work still needs to be done. Success doesn't ask how you feel. It only asks, did you show up? Did you make progress? Did you take the step that was yours to take today? It doesn't require perfection. It doesn't demand brilliance every single time. But it does require movement. And movement doesn't wait for motivation. When you rely on feelings, you're building a weak foundation. That's why so many people start and stop, lose interest, burn out, quit. They expect the emotion to do the heavy lifting. They think passion alone will carry them through. But passion is a fire that flickers. You must learn to work even in the ashes. To move even when it's dull, repetitive, thankless. That is what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. Your dreams don't need you to be inspired. They need you to be disciplined. They need you to push past the voice that says, not today. Because here's the harsh truth. If you only take action when it feels good, you'll never make it through the long nights, the hard days, the lonely roads that real growth demands. Feeling like it is a bonus, not a requirement. Start seeing discomfort as a sign you're on the right path. That resistance, it means you're stretching. It means you're stepping out of what's familiar and safe. If you always feel comfortable, you're not growing. Growth lives in the moments you want to quit. It thrives in the seconds where everything in you says stop, and you say no. I keep going. Train yourself to act independent of mood. Build the muscle of self-command. When you get up and do the thing you don't want to do, over and over, that's when you build real strength. Not just physical strength, but mental resilience, emotional maturity, grit. These aren't born from comfort. They are forged in the fire of consistency. You don't feel like it? Good. Do it anyway. Because the act of moving through resistance rewires your mind. It tells your brain, I lead, you follow. It's a reclaiming of power, a declaration that you are not ruled by passing feelings, but guided by unshakable purpose. You won't always feel like it, but that doesn't matter. What matters is what you do when you don't. That is the moment that defines your future, not the easy days, but the hard ones. Not when the road is smooth, but when it's steep. Every time you take action, despite not wanting to, you send a message to yourself. I am in control. I choose to rise. I choose to move. And one day, long from now, when you look back, it won't be the days you felt like it that made the difference. It'll be the days you didn't. And you did it anyway. The myth of the perfect moment is one of the most dangerous illusions you can hold on to. So many people are stuck in neutral, waiting for that golden alignment of time, energy, mood, and opportunity. They convince themselves that someday everything will fall into place and the path will be clear. But that someday rarely comes. And when it does, it vanishes just as quickly, leaving them no further along than where they started. The perfect moment is a lie. It's a fantasy constructed by fear and procrastination, a comforting excuse that keeps you from acting. There is no ideal time. There is no magical window where everything feels right and nothing holds you back. Life is messy. Circumstances are rarely perfect. You'll always be tired, busy, uncertain, or overwhelmed by something. If you wait for stillness in the storm, you'll wait forever. The truth is simple. The moment you're in now, this very second, is all you'll ever truly have. And the people who make things happen are not the ones who wait. They are the ones who begin in the middle of chaos, who start when they're scared, who move when it's hard. Starting before you're ready is not reckless, it's powerful. It's how all great journeys begin. No one ever became extraordinary by waiting until they had all the answers. They became extraordinary by taking the first step despite not knowing what came next. Growth doesn't come from perfect conditions. It comes from walking forward in imperfect ones. Because momentum is born in action, not in clarity. And clarity is often reward for daring to act while still uncertain. You will never outgrow fear if you keep trying to wait it away. You'll never build courage by sitting still. Action is the antidote to fear. Motion chips away at doubt. You cannot think your way into confidence. You have to earn it. And that begins by confronting the lie that you need to wait. You already know what needs to be done. That truth has been whispering in your mind for days, weeks, maybe even years. And each time you ignore it, you weaken your own trust in yourself. But when you start, when you take even the smallest action, you send a message back to your mind. I am not waiting anymore. I am ready now. even if I don't feel like it, even if everything isn't perfect. Too many dreams die in waiting. Too many talents fade out because people believed they needed more time, more certainty, more resources. But here's what they don't realize. Your greatness is not in the plan. It's in the persistence. It's in the doing. And you don't need permission to begin. You don't need the stars to align. You just need to move. Because while others are sitting on the sidelines, planning and overthinking, the doers are out there building empires from nothing. If you wait for the perfect moment, you're handing control of your life to circumstance. You're saying, I will only live fully when everything outside of me cooperates. But that's not strength. That's surrender. The most powerful thing you can do is act in spite of uncertainty, to say, I may not know how this ends, but I refuse to stay stuck. Progress begins when excuses end. Every time you delay, you give your fears more power. But every time you start, especially when it's hard, you take that power back. You reclaim your life, you reclaim your time, and you begin to build the momentum that will carry you through every challenge ahead. The perfect moment will never arrive because it doesn't exist. But what does exist is now. Right now in all its imperfection. Right now while you're scared. Right now while you're unsure. This is the only moment you own. And if you're brave enough to begin in the middle of the storm, you'll one day look back and realize that storm was your starting point, and the chaos didn't stop you, it launched you. The myth of the perfect moment is not just untrue, it's a trap. And the only way out is through action. Not tomorrow, not next week, but now. Because the life you want is waiting on the other side of starting. Suffering now or suffering later, that is the unspoken truth most people avoid. Pain is not optional, it's inevitable. You can't escape it, but you can choose its form. One path is the pain of discipline, the temporary discomfort of showing up, doing the work, pushing yourself when you don't want to. The other is the pain of regret, the slow, aching realization that you could have been more, done more, lived more. But you chose comfort instead, and between the two, only one leads to growth. Only one gives something back. The pain of discipline is honest. It shows up early, asks for your effort, and returns with results. It might cost you some sleep, some convenience, some ease, but it gives you power in return. It makes you sharper, stronger. It builds the kind of self-respect that can't be faked. Every time you push through resistance, you're not just getting things done. You're proving to yourself that you're stronger than your excuses. That's the gift buried in the struggle. On the other hand, the pain of regret doesn't demand anything up front. It lets you relax. It whispers, take it easy, while time slips quietly through your fingers. And then, one day, it returns with a brutal bill. You look back and realize the cost of avoiding discomfort was your own potential. You realize the days you avoided difficulty were the very days you needed to lean into it, and by then the opportunity is gone. Time is the one thing you never get back. Every person pays a price. The only question is, do you want to pay now, when it's manageable and meaningful, or later, when it's irreversible and painful? People think avoiding pain makes life easier. What they don't see is that avoidance accumulates pain. Procrastination builds pressure. Neglect builds problems. Every time you say, I'll do it tomorrow, you are stacking weight on your future self. Eventually, that weight becomes a burden too heavy to carry. But the pain of discipline, that's different. It's front-loaded. You feel it now, but it makes your future lighter. It gives you freedom, options, pride. The man who disciplines himself is not punishing himself. He's preparing himself. He's investing in a life where he doesn't have to apologize for what he didn't do. He's earning the right to walk tall, knowing he faced the hard path head on. And what most people don't realize is that discipline hurts far less than regret ever will. Yes, waking up early is hard. Working when you're tired is uncomfortable. Saying no to distractions, forcing yourself to stay focused, grinding through the process, it's tough. But it's a purposeful kind of pain. It has direction. And because of that, it transforms you. You grow stronger through it. Regret, though it's empty, it offers no strength, no growth, only loss. It leaves you stuck, wishing for a second chance that will never come. That's the difference. Discipline builds. Regret decays. The painful truth is that you will never get to live pain-free, but you can choose your suffering. You can choose to carry the burden of growth now or be crushed by the weight of what if later. And that choice is made in the small decisions. Do you do the hard thing today, or do you run from it, knowing it will return even harder tomorrow? The ones who rise, the ones who thrive, they aren't special. They've just made peace with the discomfort. They've realized that temporary pain is the price of permanent power. That short-term discipline leads to long-term freedom. And that's the secret. The people who seem free are often the ones who suffered most, but they did it on purpose. So next time you're faced with a hard choice, ask yourself, which pain do I want? Because it's coming either way. One path hurts now and strengthens you. The other feels good now and destroys you later. Make your pain count. Let it be the kind that leads somewhere. Let it shape you into someone you can respect, because nothing is worse than standing in the wreckage of your own wasted potential, knowing you had a choice, and you chose comfort over becoming. You are not always going to be motivated. In fact, some days you'll feel the complete opposite, tired, doubtful, uninspired. And that's exactly why habits are more important than moods. Discipline is not about being perfect, it's about being consistent. You don't need to be brilliant every day. You don't need to feel powerful or inspired. What you need is to show up. Again and again, even when it's boring, even when it's exhausting, even when no one is watching and no one is cheering you on. That is the foundation of real progress. Consistency in the face of resistance. There is this idea that greatness comes from massive effort all at once. But that's a lie. Greatness is built in the small, ordinary moments that most people overlook. It's built in the daily grind, in doing what you said you would do, especially when it's no longer exciting. Anyone can be consistent for a day. Few can be consistent for a decade. That's what separates those who succeed from those who only wish they did. Your brain doesn't change because of what you intend to do. It changes because of what you repeat. Every small choice you make is a vote for the person you want to become. You don't become disciplined by reading about discipline. You become disciplined by practicing it, by pushing through resistance, by building rituals and routines that override the randomness of your emotions. Habits build momentum, and momentum builds power. You don't need motivation. When your habits are strong enough to carry you through. Think of it like this. If you only brushed your teeth when you felt like it, how often would you? Probably not enough. But you do it anyway because it's a non-negotiable habit. You understand the long-term consequence of skipping it. The same logic applies to your goals, your fitness, your craft, your calling. If you treat them like optional tasks only to be tackled when you're in the mood, you'll lose to someone who has built them into their lifestyle. Consistency builds identity. It tells your mind, this is who I am now. The more you show up, the more that action becomes normal. What felt hard becomes automatic. What required willpower becomes part of your rhythm. And the beauty of consistency is that you don't have to start over every time you slip. You just return, you recommit, you keep going. Progress isn't about perfection, It's about not quitting. When you rely solely on motivation, you hand your power to your environment. A bad night's sleep, a rough conversation, a stressful day, and suddenly you're off track. But when you rely on discipline, you reclaim that power. You stop waiting to feel ready. You just move. You just do the work, no matter the circumstances. There will be days when it feels like nothing is working. You'll question your path. You'll wonder if the effort is worth it. But those are the days that count the most. Anyone can stay disciplined when it's easy. But when it's hard, when every part of you wants to give up, that's when real strength is forged. That's when your character is built. You are what you do repeatedly. If you want to be strong, do strong things. If you want to be focused, practice focus. If you want to be relentless, keep moving forward when others stop. Habits are the architecture of achievement. They are the quiet rituals that build a loud life. And don't underestimate the compound effect. One small action, repeated daily, has the power to transform everything. A single workout doesn't make you fit. A single focused hour doesn't make you a master. But string enough of those together, and you'll wake up one day changed, not because of one massive breakthrough, but because of 1,000 small efforts that stacked over time. So don't chase motivation. Build systems, build patterns, build a lifestyle that keeps you aligned even when life gets chaotic. Because the ones who win are not the ones who feel like it all the time, they're the ones who do it anyway. And over time, they become unstoppable, not because they are always driven, but because they are always disciplined. Most people wait for the world to believe in them before they take themselves seriously. They wait for applause, recognition, validation, something from the outside to convince them that they're worthy of the life they desire. But that's not how it works. The world doesn't reward potential, it rewards proof. And the only way to offer that proof is through results. You must force yourself to deliver, not because others are watching, but because that is the price of building a life that commands respect, not with your words, but with your actions. Silence speaks louder when backed by achievement. When you stop explaining and start executing, people take notice, not immediately, but eventually. They may not see the sleepless nights, the sacrifices, the struggle, but they will see what rises from it. And when they do, your work will speak on your behalf. So stop trying to convince people with explanations. Let your results do the talking. They don't need to believe in your process. They'll see what it produces. There's power in quiet focus, in locking in when everyone else is distracted, in choosing consistency over popularity. The truth is, no one is coming to push you. No one is coming to hand you your dream. It's your responsibility to become undeniable, to force the world to pay attention, not because you demanded it, but because your output left no choice. That's the shift from hoping someone will believe in you to becoming someone they can't ignore. The man who delivers doesn't need to beg for support. He doesn't have to scream his worth. His discipline speaks louder than any speech could. Because results are irrefutable. You can doubt someone's mindset, question their intentions, even ignore their ambition, but when they produce results, the conversation changes. People stop arguing with your opinion when you back it up with evidence. But here's the catch. Results don't happen overnight. They come from a long stretch of silent work. Work that no one sees. Days where progress feels invisible. Moments when you question whether the sacrifice is even worth it. And that's where most people quit, right before the breakthrough. Right before their efforts were to start to echo. But not you. Because you understand that the invisible stage is the most critical one. It's where resilience is built. It's where identity is formed. It's where you become the person capable of carrying the weight of the results you're chasing. It's easy to perform when the spotlight is on, but the real test is what you do in the dark when no one's cheering, when the recognition is absent, when progress feels like it's moving in slow motion. If you can keep showing up then, you've already won. Because that kind of persistence creates results so powerful, they command respect without asking for it. Let your results humble the doubters. Let your discipline redefine the expectations others had for you. Most people want credit before they've earned it. They want praise before they've built anything. Don't fall into that trap. Keep your head down. Keep building. Let them talk. Let them misunderstand you. Because while they're busy watching, you're busy working. And when the dust settles, the truth will be undeniable. You didn't need validation. You needed execution. Remember this. People are drawn to results. No one questions the man who shows up and delivers every single time. He doesn't have to raise his voice or justify his effort. His results speak louder than any argument. So instead of posting about your goals, go achieve them. Instead of hoping people will believe in you, give them a reason they can't ignore. That's how real respect is earned. Not with noise, but with results that resonate long after the talking stops. You don't owe anyone an explanation. You owe yourself a standard. And the more you raise that standard in private, the more undeniable your life becomes in public. So stop trying to convince, stop trying to persuade. Build something so real, so solid, so powerful that it becomes its own proof. Let the results speak, and let them speak loudly. Comfort is a seductive trap. It lures you in with ease, whispers sweet lies about rest, safety, and satisfaction, and slowly steals your edge. Most people don't even realize they're being lulled into a life of mediocrity until it's too late. They confuse stillness with peace, comfort with happiness, and routine with purpose. But there's a hidden cost to staying comfortable. It's the death of your potential. Growth never happens in comfort. It happens in pressure, in struggle, in uncertainty. If you want to become something more, you must be willing to leave behind what feels good and step into what makes you uncomfortable. Growth demands discomfort. There is no version of you becoming stronger, smarter, sharper, or more disciplined that doesn't come with some form of pain. The gym hurts. Studying hurts. Building a business hurts. Waking up early hurts. Saying no to distractions hurts. But all of it is pain with a purpose. It's pain that refines you, sharpens you, elevates you. And it's pain that most people run from. Comfort, on the other hand, is quiet. It doesn't scream. It doesn't alarm you. It slowly suffocates your ambition by making you content with good enough. And before you realize it, years pass and nothing has changed, except the weight of regret that settles in your chest. You look around and wonder where the time went, where the fire in your soul disappeared to. The answer is simple. It got smothered under comfort. There is no growth in the familiar. You can't evolve while clinging to what's safe. The only way to transform is to force yourself into the unknown, to enter rooms where you don't feel ready, to tackle problems you don't yet know how to solve. That tension, that stretch, is where your potential lies. And if you wait to feel ready, if you wait for the discomfort to disappear, you'll be waiting forever. Discomfort is not the enemy. It's the invitation. It's the signal that you are on the edge of something meaningful. The more you avoid it, the further you drift from who you were meant to become. You must stop making decisions based on what feels easy and start making decisions based on what leads to growth. Most people chase comfort, thinking it will bring peace, but peace doesn't come from avoiding challenge. It comes from conquering it. True peace is the byproduct of progress. It's what you earn after you've pushed through resistance, broken through barriers, and stood on the other side of something that once intimidated you. That's the kind of peace worth fighting for. The peace that comes from knowing you are becoming everything you were meant to be. This comfort builds confidence. When you do what's hard, you realize you're capable of more than you believed. You gain strength, not just in your body, but in your mind. You no longer need external motivation because your internal fire begins to burn hotter. You start trusting yourself, not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. You need to remember this: you will not grow by staying where it's safe. You will grow by chasing what scares you, by walking into challenges instead of around them, by saying yes to the things that stretch you, even when you want to run. Discomfort is not something to be feared, it's something to be sought, because it holds the keys to your next level. Every moment you choose comfort over challenge, you are choosing the current version of you over the future version you could be. That is the real cost of comfort. It keeps you as you are. But when you choose discomfort, you choose transformation, you choose progress, you choose a life that expands instead of one that contracts. Stop playing small. Stop making decisions based on ease. Start running toward what challenges you. Because the version of you that you're dreaming of, the one who is powerful, disciplined, successful, that version is waiting on the other side of discomfort. And the only way to reach it is to get uncomfortable on purpose every single day. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to wake you up in the morning and make you chase your dreams. No one is going to hold your hand through every difficulty, push you past every obstacle, or force you to keep going when everything feels heavy. You must accept this. If you want your life to change, you must be the one to change it. Waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect feeling, or the perfect support system will trap you in a life of excuses. Because perfection never arrives, only you do. This is the truth that most people avoid because it's uncomfortable. It places responsibility exactly where it belongs. On you. It's easier to blame others, to blame your circumstances, to believe that life is unfair and that someone owes you something. But the moment you let go of that mindset, you unlock a deeper power. You stop waiting, and you start creating. You stop reacting, and you start leading. You take control. Every breakthrough in your life will begin with a single act of responsibility the moment you decide to stop hoping and start building. The moment you stop expecting help and start becoming the help you need. And that's where transformation begins. Not in comfort, not in dependency, but in the relentless decision to carry your own weight, to become self-disciplined, to become someone you can rely on. No mentor, no friend, no family member can walk your path for you. They can encourage you, they can support you, but they cannot do the work. They cannot face your fears. They cannot make the sacrifices. That burden and that privilege belongs to you alone. And that's where your greatness is hidden, in the decision to step up and bear your own cross. This doesn't mean you must isolate yourself or reject every form of help. It means you must become the engine of your own progress. You must move forward with or without applause. You must show up whether or not anyone else believes in you, because you believe in you. Or at the very least, you believe that you can become someone worth believing in. When you stop waiting to be rescued, you discover your own strength. You stop giving your power away. Every time you take ownership of your choices, your habits, your attitude, your time, you reclaim more control over your destiny. You stop being a victim of life and start becoming the architect of it. that's when the real growth begins. Not when things get easier, but when you get stronger. Self-discipline is the ultimate form of self-respect. It's you saying, I matter enough to hold myself to a higher standard. It's you refusing to betray your future self for momentary comfort. And once you understand this, you realize that the most powerful person in your life has always been you. Not because you're invincible, but because you are accountable. Look around. Most people are waiting for motivation, for permission, for the perfect mood, for a sign. And while they wait, their lives pass them by. Don't let that be you. Stop waiting. Start moving. Even when you're scared. Even when you're tired. Even when you have no idea what comes next. Start anyway. Because no one is coming to light the fire inside you. That's your job. And it starts with a choice. A choice to show up, to keep going, to push forward, even when everything in you wants to quit. That choice, repeated daily, will change everything. You want to be great? You want to build something extraordinary? Then stop expecting life to hand it to you. Nothing real is given. It's earned. Through grit, through perseverance, through self-mastery, through the unglamorous, relentless act of doing what must be done, even when no one is watching, even when the results don't come quickly. Embrace it. Embrace the grind. Embrace the responsibility. Embrace the truth that this is on you, and that's the best news possible. Because once you understand that you are the problem, you also understand that you are the solution. And when you own that, truly own it, no one can stop you. Not because they can't, but because you won't let them. Every day you delay, you drift further from the life you say you want. Time does not wait for you to feel ready. Opportunities don't pause until your mind is clear. The clock keeps ticking whether you move or stand still. And this is what most people fail to understand. The pain of discipline is always less than the pain of regret. The discomfort you feel pushing yourself today is nothing compared to the ache of waking up a year from now realizing you're still stuck in the same place, repeating the same excuses, living the same unfulfilled story. People imagine that their future will somehow improve magically, as if growth will arrive without effort. But nothing about progress is accidental. It's intentional, it's brutal, it's repetitive, and it requires action now, not later. Because the longer you wait, the more your dreams decay into distant memories. Potential has an expiration date. And when you keep pushing things off, you're not buying time, you're burying your own momentum. The truth is, you don't have to feel ready to begin. You just have to begin. Action creates clarity. Movement builds confidence. The very thing you're waiting to feel will only come after you take the first step, not before. Waiting for motivation is a trap. Motivation is a result, not a requirement. If you sit around hoping for inspiration, you'll be paralyzed forever. But if you act, even when you don't feel like it, you'll generate the momentum you need to keep going. The greatest enemy of your progress isn't failure. It's hesitation. Every time you pause out of fear, doubt, or laziness, you strengthen the habit of standing still, and habits are powerful. If you don't train yourself to move despite discomfort, you'll train yourself to retreat every time life gets hard. That's how dreams die, not with one big decision, but with 1,000 small delays. You must force yourself to move now, because later is an illusion. Later turns into never for most people. Later becomes the graveyard where goals are buried. You'll never have more time, more energy, or more clarity than this moment, right here. It may not be perfect, but it's all you have. And that's enough to begin. The only thing required to change your life is a decision. To start. to stop making excuses, to stop waiting, to stop shrinking, and to start moving with intensity. Every moment you procrastinate, someone else is executing. Someone else is waking up early, showing up when it's hard, staying disciplined when it's boring, and earning the future you say you want. The only difference between them and you is urgency. Not talent, not luck, urgency. They act like it matters because it does. Time is the most ruthless currency. You never get it back. Every second wasted is a second you could have used to grow, to build, to transform. Don't spend your life collecting regrets and calling it caution. The cost of inaction is far greater than the risk of failure. You can recover from failure, you can learn, you can adapt, but you cannot recover lost time. You cannot buy back the days you let slip through your fingers. If you keep pushing things off until someday, you'll wake up with nothing but the weight of what could have been. That's the kind of pain that never fades. Make the call. Launch the idea. Go to the gym. Study the material. Have the difficult conversation. Whatever you've been avoiding, face it. Because the longer you delay, the heavier it becomes. Fear grows in silence. Doubt multiplies in inaction. But the moment you engage, you weaken them. The moment you move, you begin to win. Your future is shaped not by what you hope to do, but by what you consistently do. Don't let another day go by being passive in your own life. Take control. Be aggressive with your growth. Be ruthless with your time. Be urgent with your goals. Because one day, you won't have the chance to go back and do it over. And when that day comes, you want to look back knowing you moved when it mattered, not that you waited for a perfect moment that never came. The journey to success, growth, and fulfillment is never easy. It demands a relentless commitment to action even when motivation is absent, even when fear tries to hold you back, and even when comfort tempts you to settle. Waiting for the perfect moment is a luxury you cannot afford, because that moment may never arrive. The only way forward is to force yourself to get it done, day after day, step after step, no matter how hard or uncomfortable it feels. This is where true transformation lives, in the willingness to push beyond limits, take full responsibility, embrace discomfort, and act with urgency. Your future self is waiting. But only you can close the gap between who you are now and who you want to become. So rise, move, and keep moving. Because your life will change the moment you decide to stop waiting and start doing.